Konnichiwa, and welcome to Disctv, the show that brings you the world of disc golf. I'm Brian Sullivan. This week we take you to Tokyo for the Japan Open. Now, one thing that makes this event a little different, they require 150-gram class golf discs. Now, these are significantly lighter than the Americans are used to throwing, so it could prove tricky for some. Who's going to win it? Stay tuned and find out, because Disctv is on the air right now. Also this week, we'll take you to Sweden for the women's Final 9 from the Stockholm Open. Plus, we'll talk about different driving techniques with Brad Hammock and 11-time world champ Ken Climo. It's all about disc golf. This is Disctv.
Good, hot.
Disctv is brought to you in part by the Professional Disc Golf Association, guiding disc golf into the future. Irving's famous Chicago-style hot dogs. For red hot lovers, make it Irving's. Maceman Disc Golf Gear. Expect the best. And by DiscLife.com, the world leader in disc golf. This week in Tokyo, it was the Japan Open. This is one of the biggest international disc golf events of the year. Disctv set the cameras there and filed this report. Welcome to Tokyo, Japan, and the 2002 Japan Open. The field of Japanese players is rounded out by 21 additional international players, most of them Americans, and all hungry for a win at this prestigious event. The format this weekend is 2 rounds of 27 holes, followed by 1 round of 18, then a cut to a semifinal 9, and a final cut to the top 4 players in each division for the final 9 holes. The course here at Showa Keenan Park has a little of everything, including plenty of dangerous out-of-bounds areas over the 6,200 feet that make up the entire 27-hole layout. Players will need power and accuracy, plus a solid putting game. Women's division, where the Japanese players were throwing strong. Here's Keiko Jitsuhiro, who was right there with the pack after round 1, then stumbled with a few too many bogeys in round 2. She was back to a strong game in round 3, and a hot round in the semifinals secured Jitsuhiro's place in the final 9. Naoko Inami holds a PDGA membership number of 4510, and she's seen plenty of tough competition on both sides of the Atlantic. Inami got off to a good start in 2nd place, but a few unexpected water strokes kept the pressure on. She was putting well, and by the end of competition, it was a 3rd place finish for Japan's Naoko Inami. Chaike Kakimoto is the current women's Masters world champion, having devastated the rest of the field earlier this year in Houston. How would the champ fare on her home turf? Kakimoto's drives were right on, and a huge round 2 brought her within arm's reach of the lead. She was virtually stroke for stroke with the leader through the final rounds, but in the end, could not close the deal. Here's your leader now. The American Tita Ugalde took an early 6-stroke lead and dared the rest of the field to keep up. It takes plenty of focus and practice to consistently hit putts during a major event like this. And with a PDGA membership number of 085, Ugalde has been around long enough to have that stuff dialed in by now. Her best round in the 3rd, even par, and Tita Ugalde is the women's champ here in Japan. Open division, where David Feldberg started in the middle of the pack until he discovered the energizing powers of sushi. Tasty fish, Dave, tasty fish. Wind is a factor here, increasing the challenge to the Americans since most of them are not used to throwing the 150 class golf discs that are mandatory to use here in Japan. Now, why are the lighter discs mandatory? Safety concerns in their extremely crowded parks. Feldberg came on strong in the end, hitting some long deuces and firing up the home crowd. He would eventually fight his way to 4th place. John Ahart. This guy has traveled thousands of miles to play in every single Japan Open, but how about hitting some tour events in the U.S., dude? Ahart had it going on and was driving like a smoothie. Approaches were right on more than not, and his putts, well, heck, if we're talking about him in the show, you can bet he was putting well. Now, like Feldberg, Ahart, strong finish. He would be taking home the third place trophy this weekend because, well, the guy can indeed hit a long putt. Observe, if you will. Ba-bam. And John Ahart, fine third place finish in Japan. Here's the Dominator, 11-time world champion Ken Climo. There is no one tougher week in and week out, and he's got the experience here in Japan more than any other international player. So, no surprise to see Climo leading after round one, and he would increase that lead by one stroke in the second. From then on, he would hold the lead until splashing down in a water hazard during the finals, and a rare missed opportunity for the great one. Meanwhile, California's Stevie Rico, here's the man of the hour. It's been a slow year for Rico, but here in Japan, he hung in there neck and neck with Climo and found himself 2 strokes out going into the final 9 holes. He's got all the skills he needs, and when Rico's mental game is on track, it is all over, man. A huge crush that just barely missed going out of bounds in the final 9, and a big 30-foot putt would knock the wind out of Climo's sails. It's a big finish, and Stevie Rico by 2 at the 2002 Japan Open.
Oh, it's awesome. This whole week I came out here and practiced hard and just played hard, and it came down close towards the end there, and I just stayed focused, and things went my way.
Right. How was the course? Did you like the course?
Oh, the course was awesome. All the water holes, a lot of danger out there, so the strokes go up and down. So, but it worked out very fortunate for me.
Did you just go the way you wanted, or it was like the wind helped, or the wind didn't help?
The wind was a little bit difficult with the wind, but you just got to play through it, take your chances when you have the chance, and play safe when you have to play safe. So.
You said you practiced a bit before the event, but after you came to Japan?
Oh yes. When I got here, I practiced the course and made sure I dialed every hole in and knew exactly every hole and how I was going to throw it.
Were you satisfied?
Excuse me?
Are you satisfied with the way you play?
Oh yes, very satisfied. Very satisfied.
So you like the event itself? Did you have fun?
Oh, it was an awesome time, and I'll be back every year now for sure.
Great. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Again.
Thank you.
It feels great. I was here in 1987, and I was able to win then also, but it's just as much fun. I had a really great time. Staff was great. Everything was.
It was pretty windy today. How did the wind help to bring you the?
It made the course that much more challenging. It was already very challenging. That much more. Yes.
Do you like the course, or it was very special? It's a difficult course, yeah?
Yes, very difficult, but beautiful. I've never played on a course as beautiful as in Showa Memorial Park. Yes.
Nice. So you did enjoy the event itself?
Yes, absolutely. I didn't get to see all the park. I plan to.
Do you think you'll be back here?
Well, I hope to. Thank you very much. Your hospitality is greatly appreciated.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
The disc golf form. Some say it's a science, some say it's an art. Me, I say it's an art, and I think these two guys would agree with us. We're here today with Brad Hammock and Ken Climo, and the reason we've got these guys together with us is to show the very different driving forms that these two players have. Both are very effective, both are world champions this year, each uses a different form. Guys, why don't we just get going right away and show us what you got.
Sounds great.
All right, Brian.
Nice shot, Ken.
Thank you, sir.
So as you can see, both of these players use a very different style. So Ken, can you walk us through the mechanics of your drive?
Sure. I like to start at the back of the tee pad, visualize my shot before I throw it. I like to see the exact line I want to throw and the disc flying to the pin, see the whole shot. And once I've gained that, I try and get my run up, go straight up and down the tee pad on that same line that I want to hit. And I start with my toes pointing towards the target, take a few steps forward, and then turn my whole body back to the basket and get a long reach back with my hand and get my foot going forward. And as my foot is hitting the ground, this leg is transferring most of my weight into the other leg, and I follow through very smoothly and get all the weight transferred over back to this foot again.
And how are you controlling your aim?
My aim, with my momentum of my body. If my body's going this way, say across the tee pad, the disc is going to go in that general direction first. And if I want the disc to go in that general direction first, I'll go this way across the tee pad. And if I want it to go straight, I'll go straight down the middle. It's a momentum thing. And I just try and pull straight through the line. If there was a line right down the middle of the pad and the hole was straight like this one is, my hand would probably not leave that line, just right through until just after release. Right at release, then my hand's off the line. But it's a straight line pull through. You're just following a line right through.
And how important is the follow-through?
The follow-through is everything. That's where you generate most of your power, and a little bit of accuracy comes with the follow-through as well. You can get your disc to do later turns to the right if you get a better follow-through. If you don't follow through on it as much, they tend to go a little more left.
Now, it's been said by a lot of different players that tall, lanky, big guys like yourself, like Scott Stokely, like Ron Russell, they have an advantage in this game. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. There's a certain amount of leverage comes into play. I mean, it's a slight advantage, if any, but I think the short game and basic accuracy would make up for any kind of lengthy advantage of arms or legs. But it's maybe slight at best.
Brad Hammock, same question to you. Do you think the tall, lanky guys have an advantage?
Definitely in some areas, you know. I mean, the tall, lanky guy can, like Ken says, like in ball golf with a bigger swing arc, you get more distance. With the longer swing diameter, I guess, for us, or stroke diameter, and more, you know, muscles involved, you're gonna get more power and more, you know, distance with your disc. But I think for us little guys that we get a little bit of the finesse advantage, so it might equal out a little bit. Because courses you don't necessarily have, where they have the big advantages on a totally long bomber course is what we like to call them. You know what I mean? Like 500 footers plus. That's harder for the little guy to get, you know, 450, 500 and stuff like that. Once you start getting to that 500 foot range, you're a big bomber in most cases. I don't know many little guys except for Dave McCormick is like 5'7" maybe, and he's got a little muscle on him. He can throw it almost 500 or so.
So Brad, talk us through your mechanics. How does your shot evolve?
Well, it's real simple for me. My buddy Chris Sikorsky, when I first started playing, took me out to a soccer field, and there was an elevation, and I was throwing shots, trying to throw them as far as I could, and for some reason I just naturally started turning around as much as I could and just running backwards, and I somehow started hitting better shots, getting more distance on them. And from there it just evolved, and all I really do is I aim with my right shoulder. And so what I'm doing is I try and maximize the fairway on this shot. I would aim as far left as I could, get my shoulder over there, and that's all I'm doing when I'm coming up like in this direction and looking down, and I'm just trying to get the shoulder aimed right. And then from there it's similar in that with the footwork, I just keep my toes already pointed back here. But and I'll just start my shot. But on the bigger shots, I will do just as Ken does. And have more of a run-up where I have to turn around and get my body because I can generate more momentum that way. But it's also harder to control, that move.
So what you're saying then is the reason that you use your standard driving style of that backing up thing you do
right.
is because it's more accurate for you.
Exactly. I find accuracy is a lot easier, and after having been injured and I just got back into the game last year, I've seen two other guys that were throwing that way, and I said, hey, did you learn that from me? And they were like, I've always thrown this way. And I found that interesting because I saw him, I go, hey, he looks just like me, you know, he's starting off like this. And doing what I consider, for me, I'm getting the spring wound up as far as I can here, and then I want to uncoil the spring as far as I can that way for the maximum torque and power. Probably because I'm a smaller guy with less mass, I got to get the full And being turned around like that just gets me loaded up nice, so I can just go ahead and from there, let her rip, as they say.
Let me ask you this, Brad. Let's say I'm a new player and I'm a big guy.
Right?
Would you still recommend your form, your style to that guy?
I guess I probably would. I just, you know, show him the way I throw. I mean, I don't know that I could maybe point out that other guys throw differently, but yeah, I'd probably tell him to try my way at least.
Ken, Brad, thanks a lot for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Booyah. Beyond every strong organization, there's at least one guy who's working hard to make sure everything is coming together just as it should be. For the Professional Disc Golf Association, his name is Brian Honegger, or as his friends know him, Guru. Guru, good to see you.
Pleasure to be here, Brian.
Now, first of all, you've been involved in disc golf a long time. Tell us how you got started.
Well, I was used to play a lot of frisbee with my friends in the mid to late 70s. I was introduced to disc golf when my friends took me to the Toronto Island course around 1982. I think about 1985 I took it up seriously. When I worked in Africa in the late 1980s, I had a basket in the mountains where I lived with my wife. Got a couple of aces on that basket in Africa. Came home in 1990. Been playing the PDGA Tour ever since then, and in 1997 I took this job.
As the PDGA administrator.
That's right.
Well, let's go back to the Africa experience. You actually introduced disc golf to an African country.
That's true. My wife and I, in 1985, we ran the medical component of a famine relief project in Ethiopia. And from 1986 to 1990, we ran a rural health development project in the small southern African mountain kingdom of Lesotho. We worked out of a hospital compound in the mountains, basically had a meadow outside of the front door, had a basket made by Lesotho steel, and every day before work and after work, you could probably find me on the course with a couple of local schoolboys, seeing how we could do.
And I'm assuming you left the basket behind for them to enjoy for many years
The basket belongs to Lucky Latuma of Halasala village in Lesotho.
That's great. Now, let's talk a little more recent about the PDGA. You began working for the PDGA in '97, and give me a little timeline. What's happened from then until now in 2002?
Well, over the last 6 years, the PDGA has roughly doubled in size, equaling the growth of its first 20 years. When I came on, the organization had just gone through a 2-year stabilization period after a rough period. It was basically rebuilt by John Houck, who was commissioner at the time, and my predecessor as administrator, Becky Powell. Their last year of leadership in 1996, at the end of that year, the PDGA had almost 4,000 current members, about 220 events, and a total tour purse of about $350,000. The end of this in 2002, the end of my 6th year, we will have doubled those numbers to almost 8,000 current dues paid members this year, some 400 to 405 tour events this year. And we expect by the time all the numbers are in that the total PDGA Tour purse this year, for the first time in history, will exceed $1 million US.
That's great. Now there are over 400 PDGA sanctioned events, and you are the guy who is charged of keeping track of all these events and making sure everything happens. How do you do it?
Well, I'm mathematically inclined. We're kind of driven, a bit of a perfectionist, like lots of other people in the sport, and can't really rest until the job is done right. I guess the most challenging thing about the schedule is actually building the schedule itself and making everybody happy with their dates, and hopefully minimizing event conflicts in terms of their proximity to one another, keeping that to a minimum. That's the key thing. In terms of managing it after that, about 90% of our TDs are really reliable and report on time. Chasing down the stragglers to getting their results in is the other principal challenge, yeah.
Guru, if there's anyone who has their thumb on the pulse of disc golf, it's got to be you. I mean, you're living disc golf every single working day. So let me ask you, you've seen where we've been. Where are we going? What's coming down the pike here?
Well, we've We have a transformation plan that is now in progress. We've got superb new volunteer leadership with the board of directors led by Pat Govang. We are nearing the completion of our new trans-organizational database. That's going to be a lot cooler in terms of our website and the things that we can do with all our tour stats and our memberships. In 2003, we will launch a new national tour in partnership with Sports Loop and Disctv. In 2004, we may have another major dream of the sport come true. We've been talking about a disc golf mecca, a headquarters for the sport of the whole that showcases it, and we're in negotiations with the County Parks Department near Augusta, Georgia. Things are going extremely well, and that dream may be realized in 2004.
Wow.
A national disc golf center.
Would that be cool or what?
That right next to the Masters Ball Golf Tournament. I'm told the community of Augusta is really excited about it. Be a new place for my wife and I to live and run the office, and let's keep our fingers crossed that this comes true, because this would be a huge development for the sport.
So disc golfers, when you find yourself in need of contacting the PDGA office, chances are good that this is the guy you're going to be talking to. He's Brian Guru Honegger. Guru, thanks for being here today.
Always a pleasure, Brian. Thanks for all you guys are doing for us.